Bakersfield. He later died from his injuries. Police questioned the driver but declined to detain or arrest him pending an investigation. Now, some are growing impatient as they await word from the Bakersfield Police Department. There are at least 2 online petitions demanding an arrest in this case, and combined they have nearly 250,000 signatures. 17's Robert Price has more.
It's been 6 weeks since Robert Forbes was hit and killed during a protest march on California Avenue near Oak Street. Now, 6 weeks later, a lot of people are starting to ask, will there ever be an arrest in this case?
Did the driver of the car that hit Forbes that night in the middle of that darkened roadway accelerate as he approached, even as other cars ahead of him were clearly braking? That driver, who identified himself as Timothy Keith Moore by way of a social media apology, since deleted, denies intent. But half of the witnesses interviewed by police say he did in fact increase his speed as he approached. One of those witnesses is Noah Presley, who started a petition via change.org demanding Moore's arrest. The petition has nearly 200,000 signatures. A second petition has 50,000 signatures. Presley, a Bakersfield College student, said he'd met Forbes that night, just 15 minutes before Forbes was fatally injured.
I shook his hand because there was a guy that came up and tried starting problems with us, and Robert just put up his hands like this with the peace sign and was just like, I'm just here to bring peace, man, like, let's just talk. And the guy just shut his door on him and drove off, and Robert just walked away. He was a really nice guy. I was really impressed by the way he handled that.
Presley's petition asked the mayor of Bakersfield, the sheriff, and the city manager to push for an arrest. But the Bakersfield Police Department, the only agency that can actually recommend charges to the district attorney, is still not ready to do so. BPD spokesman Sergeant Robert Pear told 17 News this week that all of the witnesses that were in position to see the incident, with the exception of unidentified or uncooperative protesters, have been interviewed. He said investigators are still processing electronic data, including social media, in an effort to determine any, quote, intent or activity that would speak to that possibility. BPD has said it's aware of the driver's tattoos, some of which have been associated with white supremacist groups, and Chief Greg Terry has said that too is part of the investigation. BPD is also pursuing reports that the driver had passengers who ran from the scene after the accident. BPD would like to interview them as well. Car versus marcher incidents have taken place all over the country since the protests began in late May. A report last month from the University of Chicago's Project on Security and Threats concludes right-wing extremists were behind at least 50 of those vehicle ramming incidents. 18 were categorized as deliberate, and another 24 were undetermined or still under investigation. Timothy Keith Moore's case is among the latter, but that of 31-year-old Michael Tran would fall among the former. Tran has been charged with assault with a deadly weapon after allegedly driving through a throng of marchers right in front of the Bakersfield police station May 29th, striking one marcher who suffered minor injuries. But Moore walks a free man as of now, 6 weeks into a personal and legal limbo, somewhere between intentional culpability and tragic innocence.
250,000 people think they know what happened, but they don't get a vote. In Bakersfield, Robert Price, 17 News.
And a footnote here, efforts to reach Timothy Keith Moore for comment were unsuccessful as of news time tonight.